Another fella by the name of Lewis, who was hurt mighty bad, crawled down on the powder hold of the ship and lit it on fire. Well, that brought an end to the Tonquin. Long guns, furs, and all.
The financial losses of the War of 1812, combined with the loss of the Tonquin, completely broke Astor's enterprises.
Some of the men joined up with a British fur company called the Hudson's Bay.
Men like that French-Canadian voyager, Louis Labonte, and his Indian wife and child.
McLaughlin was head man for the company, up and down the big river.
Not long after he took charge, he moved his fort from the mouth of the Columbia to right near where the Willamette runs into the big river.
His boss, Governor Simpson, christened it March 18th, 1825.
Fort Vancouver. God save King George the Fourth.
Ready! Fire! 3 cheers for King George the Fourth, the Hudson Bay Company, and our glorious leaders, Governor George Simpson, Dr. John McLaughlin. Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! God save our gracious King, long live our noble King. God save the King. Send him victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign o'er us. God save the King.
2 drams of rum for the Indians and the people.
So it seems that Dr. John McLaughlin was the big boss man around these parts for about the next 20 years.
Now, Louis Labonte, that French-Canadian trapper we mentioned a moment ago, well, he weren't bossing nothing, except in himself and his little family.
After a while, his time working for McLaughlin in the Hudson Bay was over.
All he wanted to do was settle in the valley he'd come to love.
The only problem was the company didn't want no settlers.
So Louis had to go back to his point of enlistment to get his discharge papers.
That wouldn't have been no problem, except his enlistment was in Montreal, Canada. On foot, that's almost 4,000 miles.
That's quite a walk for a handful of papers.
Who is that man, Thomas? He followed us into the fort. Isn't that Labonte, Louis Labonte?
Yes, I warned him not to bother you, sir.
It's all right. He's a good lad. But I've already said goodbye to him. Gave him a fine letter to Montreal and a good bonus. What else does he want?
It's of no importance, sir. I'll just go give him a piece of my mind.
Hey, Thomas, it may be of importance to him. He served the company faithfully. Labonte, step up here.
Yes, monsieur. I do not wish, monsieur. I am sorry to trouble you.
Well, what is it? That boy of yours, Louis, isn't it? Why, he must be all of 6 years old by now.
Age, monsieur.
Oh, and your wife?
She is fine, but she's very sad because I must go to Montreal. That is what I wish to speak to you about, Monsieur the Factor. Must I go all the way to Montreal for my discharge? Could you not give it to me here so that I could stay in the country?
You want to stay here after your discharge? You want to live with your woman's tribe?
Oh, no, monsieur.
You wouldn't like that, look.
No, monsieur. I want to take Kilakota and my boy Louis onto the Willamette Valley. There's a beautiful spot on the river where I could build my cabin.
You want to go farming?
Oui, monsieur.
Impossible, Labonte. Against company rules. You have to go to Montreal to get your discharge.
But, monsieur, if there's...
No arguments. Those are the rules. On your way.
Oui, monsieur.
What notions these habitants get? A trapper, company man, wanting to settle in the valley. You know, Thomas, that must be a beautiful valley. I must go over there one of these days when I have more time.
It is beautiful, sir. The Kalapuya called the land of plenty. It might be good for farming at that.
This is fur country, Thomas. Don't ever forget it. Let all company men remember.
Right, sir.
Farming.
It is final, Petite. The good doctor says I must go to Montreal for my discharge. And you? You cannot come with me. The winters are too cold and the people are very strange. This is your country.
Then stay here, Louis. Come with me to my tribe. Comcomly will protect us.
No. The white-headed eagle is a greater chief than Concomly. It would only make trouble for your people. I must go to Montreal. But I will be back.
No. You will drown in the rapids. Or get lost and die of thirst.
Not I. Not Louis Labonte.
You will forget Kilakota.
Hush. It is far to Montreal. So far as much time will pass before I see you again. So remember what I tell you now. I have seen no country more beautiful than the valley of the Willamette. And I shall meet no finer woman than you, Cherie. There are no rapids or deep snow or desert that can stop Louis Labonte. I must go to Montreal, but I will be back. So wait for me. Do not lose heart. I will be back!
Well, Louis said he'd be back, and I'm sure he meant it at the time, but it's a long way to Montreal and back. Almost 8,000 miles.
Plenty of fine land and plenty of chances to get killed.
Now, about the same time as Louis was walking all the way back to the Willamette Valley from Montreal,
Four Nez Perce Indians were walking the opposite direction, from west of the Rockies all the way to the home of General Clark in St. Louis.
Now, this is the same William Clark that first explored the West years before.
now why do you suppose Indians would walk all that way just to find a white man?
You might be surprised to find out.
We have come to find the white man's book of heaven. It is said that those who follow the ways of this book will enjoy his favor in this life, and after death, enter the country where the Great Spirit resides and live forever. We ask you to help us find this book.
The white man's book of heaven.
That's what they walked all that way for?
When word got round about their walk, some folks back east got mighty excited.
Because all of a sudden there was more than furs to be traded for money or land to be plowed for farms.
There were souls to be